Hello, students. Let's look into another indicator of economic development, namely Gender Development Index, GDI. We have discussed several indicators like GDP, per capita income, Human Poverty Index, and Human Development Index. Gender Development Index is yet another indicator of economic development. Gender Development Index is an index designed to measure gender inequality. With the advancement of economic as well as social progress, we know by and large women are neglected in respect of allocation of healthcare, schooling, food, and nutrition. Such deprivation results in gender inequality. Women have no or little power or authority over any household decision making process. And outside the home, women are politically marginalized. All these reflect gender disparity. To measure the extent of this disparity or inequality, the United Nations Development Programme in 1995 took a new initiative to construct an index called as Gender Development Index. In addition, in order to close this gap, women had to be empowered. The UNDP, that is the United Nations Development Programme, also devised Gender Empowerment Index also in 1995. Now, what is this Gender Development Index? Gender Development Index is a composite indicator that measures the development of a country according to their standard of living. And here, in this Gender Development Index, when we say composite indicator, it takes various factors into consideration. It highlights the inequalities in areas of long and healthy life between men and women, knowledge between men and women, standard of living between men and women. So, here the main focus is to see what is the disparity that is seen in terms of all these three, namely health, knowledge, and standard of living between men and women. The Gender Development Index is the ratio of the Human Development Index calculated separately for females and males using the same methodology as in the HDI. We have already discussed an indicator, namely Human Development Index. Gender Development Index is similar to human, not just similar, it uses the same methodology. For example, Human Development Index takes into account life expectancy, education, and standard of living. Here also, same indicators are taken into consideration. But the only difference is that it makes calculation for females and males. In fact, it is the direct measure of gender gap. That is, it tries to see what is the gap, what is the disparity that exists between all these in terms of males and females. So, in simple, Gross Development Index addresses gender gaps in life expectancy, education, and incomes. The aim is to add a gender sensitive dimension to the HDI. That is, this index tries to find out what is the disparity that exists between females and males. Gross Development Index takes into account not only the general level of well being and wealth within a country, but focuses also on how this wealth and well being is distributed between different groups within societies. Here, more focus is on the distribution of wealth and well being. Is it being distributed equally among the males and the females? Or is there a disparity in the distribution? So, normally, countries are divided into 5 groups by absolute deviation from gender in gross development index values. Normally, here, gross development index is calculated for 166 countries. And these 166 countries are grouped into 5 categories, namely Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, and Group 5. So these groups are made by absolute deviation from gender in GDI values, that is gross development index values. Now, I'll tell you what are these groups. Now, if you look into the first group, Group 1, please try to understand here. Group 1 comprises countries with high equality in Human Development Index achievements between women and men. So, here, by making use of statistics, there is an absolute deviation of less than 2.5%. That is, Group 1 comprises countries with high equality in HDI achievements. When you say HDI achievements, it is the health, education, and standard of living. These are the 3 components. And if you look into these 3 components, namely health, education, and standard of living, in Group 1 countries, there is a high level of equality among females and males. So we say there is absolute deviation of less than 2.5%. And the second group of countries, that is Group 2, comprises countries with medium to high equality in Human Development Index achievements between men and women. Here, the absolute deviation is of 2.5 to 5%. So, the second group of countries are those countries where the disparity between men and women is next to the Group 1 countries. In the Group 1 countries, we see there is high equality among men and women, whereas in Group 2 countries, the equality is medium to high equality. That is absolute deviation of 2.5 to 5%. In Group 3 comprises countries with medium equality in Human Development Index achievements between women and men. Remember, when you say HDI achievements, there are 3 components, namely life expectancy or health, education, and standard of living or income. So, in Group 3, where the countries are with medium equality, the absolute deviation is of 5 to 7.5%. Group 4 comprises countries with medium to low equality in Human Development Index achievements between men and women. So here there is an absolute deviation of 7.5 to 10%. So what is the kind of equality here in group 4? Medium to low equality. And the last group, that is the group 5, comprises with low equality in HDI achievements between women and men. So there are 5 groups of countries. Group 1, where there is high equality between women and men. Group 2, there is medium to high equality between men and women. Group 3, we see medium equality. In group 4, there is medium to low equality. Group 5 comprises with low equality in HDI achievements between men and women. Which are the HDI achievements? The 3 components, namely health, education, and standard of living. Now, if you look into all these countries, countries in group 1 are closest to gender parity. Gender parity means gender equality, meaning to say that countries in group 1, there is a lot of gender equality, meaning to say there is not much difference between women and men with access to health, education, and good standard of living. Whereas group 5 have the greatest gender disparity. That is, those countries which come under group 5, there is a highest gender inequality. Disparity means inequality. So, as per the Gross Development Index based on 2018 data, countries like Canada, Singapore, USA, Kuwait, Brazil, and many more fall into group 1, that is, those countries with high equality. Countries like Belgium, Israel, UAE, Mauritius, and others fall into group 2, that is, high equality to medium. Countries like Cuba, Oman, Sri Lanka, etc., fall into group 3, that is, medium equality. Countries like Turkey, Ghana, Zimbabwe, and others fall into group 4, that is, medium to low equality. Whereas countries like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Iran, Sudan, etc., fall into group 5. These are the countries with the highest disparity in terms of these components, namely health, education, and standard of living between men and women. Now, this GD, Gross Development Index shows how much women are lagging behind their male counterparts and how women need to catch up within each dimension of human development. Now, we know here, India, there's a lot of disparity between women and men. So, here, women need to catch up within each dimension of human development. So, when we make use of this index and calculate and see where the countries fall into, it becomes very useful. This GDI is very useful for understanding the real gender gap in human development achievements and is informative to design policy tools to close the gender gap. So, Gender Development Index is of great importance so as to design various policy tools to close the gender gap. So, this topic, namely Gender Development Index, which is an indicator to economic development, is usually asked for short notes, that is for 6 marks. So that's all for now. In the next class, we will start with the unit 2, that is the theories of economic development. We will begin with the classical theory of economic development. That's all for now. Thank you.